Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe, who has been waiting for this moment. Good morning, guys.
Man, that was scary. The Lakers barely survived a Golden State without Kelly Oubre or James Wiseman or Damian Lee or obviously Clay or KD. Man, you should be shaking in your boot. What are you doing with all that stuff?
Al Adams, Rick Barry, Wilt Chamberlain. Don't do that.
Really?
Hey, how you doing, Skip? The king. The king is here. You see what it is?
The king?
Can you read that right there?
Legoat? I thought he was ankle.
No.
I thought at halftime he needed to take a big swig of his new drink, Mountain Dew Rise, because he had no lift.
Skip, you be hating.
I don't know what happened to
You be
him.
hating, Skip. You be hating, and that's so unlike you, Skip. I thought you was like, you know what? I like the guy in a clutch moment, hit a big time shot, but that's not you.
I saw a very different game than you saw. So here we go.
Hear ye. Come on. King James hit a shot to make the Warriors fall.
Shannon has been waiting.
Let me give a glass.
Skip has a lot to say, and that game was special last night. So, yes, let's talk about it right now. LeBron and the Lakers were able to fend off Steph Curry and the Warriors in the 7-versus-8 play-in game last night. All knotted up at 100 with a minute left. LeBron threw up a deep three-pointer to avoid a shot clock violation. And after the game, LeBron said, quote, "After Draymond's finger to the eye, I was literally seeing 3 rims out there, so I just shot at the middle one." Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how clutch was LeBron's late three-pointer?
10.
10
plus.
Boy, that was objective.
10.
We're off to a running start here.
T-N or T-I-N. It was 10, Skip.
That was made a 10. I'll give you that.
Skip, look. It's the final minutes of a ball game, and as Jenny was reading, the clock was winding down. The last thing that you want to have happen after Steph Curry, and I told you, if Steph see a couple of those shots go in, you got your night cut out for you. And he messed around and saw a couple of those things go in, and he felt he could do no wrong. He got what he'd been averaging over the last 25, 30 games, which is 37 points. And I felt that if he got anywhere near his average, the Lakers were going to lose this game because we know they like to take and make a bunch of threes. And they got guys capable of getting hot, Skip. You saw in the first half, Poole and Andrew Wiggins and Toscano Anderson. They're like Kent Bazemore. I'm like, hold on, bro. If y'all have been shooting like this the whole year, y'all wouldn't be in the play-in. But LeBron James in the moment. Skip, I don't really know what a flagrant is anymore. And so now, I guess because he didn't make deliberate contact, so now you can hit a guy in the face. We've seen guys get flagrants calls with less than that. And so LeBron having, I can't see, he got one eye. He got one eye, Skip Bayless. Shot clock winding down. This is for all the marbles because Skip Bayless and others are waiting for this opportunity to say Michael Jordan would have never lost to the Golden State Warriors. But he said, hold on just a second. You won't be able to say it tomorrow. I'm going to pull up from 34 feet. Skip, if my notes served me correctly, you do realize that's the second longest playoff game winner in the final minutes of a game since they started tracking it. Only Dame shot against Paul George is from further distance. So that lets you know. And considering how bad he and AD and the team had played in the first half, Skip, for him to get it going in the second half and to take it and say, look, bro, you know, I'm shooting all these jumpers. We shooting these jumpers. We're a bigger team. Let's go inside. Punish them. And they did that, Skip Bayless. So for me, given the magnitude, him being away, only playing 4 games in the last 8 weeks, his rhythm is still not there, but he found a way to get back and get himself back into the ball game and to hit a shot of that nature, of that magnitude. But I love how they do it. I love the narrative that's being written now. And you're part of the narrative that does this. You do this, Skip Bayless. Now it's a go-ahead shot. When hit his, Kyrie, it was a game winner. And he hit it at exactly the same time. Now every time LeBron hits a shot, it's a go-ahead shot. Everybody else hits the exact same shot. It's a go-ahead shot now. But that's what I knew. You know what? That comes from newspaper. That's how y'all do it. Because, see, you never, the retraction is never printed with the same veracity as the allegation.
Oh.
So you, on the other, that's what
You're starting to sound like Donald Trump.
Yeah, no. You, Skip Bayless, because you come from print.
Yes,
that's how you do it.
I'm still in print.
No, you're not. You in talk. You in talk right now. So for me, it was a big time shot and a big time moment made by a big time guy, and that's what Steph Curry said. Steph said, "Hey, great players make great shots in great moments." And that's what he did. Long live the king. Long live the king.
Tell me when you're finished.
I'm finished for a little bit.
Good. It is now, thankfully, my turn. So you did make one true statement in the many that you just spewed all over this table.
What happened?
It was a flagrant.
Yes.
I mean, Draymond just flat out hit him with both hands right in the face. That's the definition of a flagrant foul.
With no play on the ball.
I'm sorry. It's just two hands to the face.
Thank you.
You just can't do it. Maybe once upon a time in 1985, it would have been a hard playoff foul. But by the letter of today's law, it's a flagrant. It's like it's a blatantly obvious flagrant. So I'm going to give you that and only that. And I will give you this. It was a big shot for the Lakers because the Lakers were teetering.
Yes.
The Lakers were teetering on having to play again on Friday night against Memphis at home, and I'm sure they could beat Memphis at home, but it would be another dangerous game against Ja Morant. And, you know, the rest
Dylan
of it.
Brooks,
and Valanciunas, and they all were in the 20s last night, and my Spurs gave them a valiant fight.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
Skip, y'all fell down by 22.
30. Yeah, it felt like 30, and thanks to my man Patty Mills, we actually made it a game. But the point was, Golden State made a game out of something that should have never been because you have dominated Golden State all year. Even in the game you lost, you're up by 19, you're up by 14 with 11 minutes left. So I'm going to give you big shot, but I won't even remotely give you clutch shot. So back to Jenny's question, scale of 1 to 10. How clutch was it? I will give you a 1. You're at a 10, I'm at a 1. Let me explain it. And let me start with what I instantly tweeted moments after the shot went in, much to your surprise and shock.
I knew it was going in.
Oh, yeah.
When he shot it, sure.
Here is what I tweeted, if we could please see this so I can read this. Lucky, desperate 3 by LeBron with the pressure off at the end of the shot clock. He's at his best when there's no drive or launch decision. He can just heave and hope. If he misses, no expectation, no fault. It's a quote-unquote impossible shot. Besides, he was, as he said right after the game, seeing 3 rims. So I guess he picked the middle, or maybe he picked the right one. Yeah. Maybe he just heaved it and hoped, and his prayer was answered. And speaking of prayers, for the first time ever after a game, LeBron James actually thanked the man upstairs. I've never considered LeBron much of a religious man. And all of a sudden, maybe he had a conversion because he threw up a prayer that went in, and he said, I've seen the light. I am yours, Lord. What do you want? I am your servant now. So here's the point. There was zero pressure on that shot because it was at the end of the clock. And to your point, thank you for making my point. Obviously, the game was tied, and obviously there was a minute left on the clock, so it wasn't nearly late enough time for a Michael Jordan-esque shot because Jordan would have waited till the bitter end to take and make the big shot. There's a minute left on the clock. Nobody's going to hold him accountable for a miss here. In fact, most people would have expected him to miss a shot that he actually fell away to shoot from, 34 feet.
Can I ask you a question? How much time was left on the clock when Kyrie made his shot in Game 7?
I'll give you that, except nobody could make a shot for what seemed like the last 5 minutes of the game. And finally, Kyrie said, give me the damn ball and get out of my way, and I'll make the shot that won the game.
But there was no pressure. Remember, the game was already tied.
Okay, well, that was Game 7 of the finals when everybody's clanking from everywhere.
Well, here's the thing, though, Skip. You lose this game, guess where you go?
Okay,
you go to another play-in.
I just said that.
One game for your life.
But just remember this. There are zero consequences to this shot. There's zero ramification. There's zero repercussion if he misses, like against Sacramento in his first game back after the ankle injury. That's what you call a last-second walk-off type shot, and he missed it. Okay, that's do or die, and he died.
So in other words, unless it's do or die, that's the only way. So
I'm just saying, we're debating the clutchness of this shot. He had to shoot the shot at the end of the clock. Right. And this is what I lecture you on. I've preached and tried to teach you. This is LeBron's biggest dilemma at the end of games. He's obviously a great passer. I still think he's the best passer in basketball. He is the greatest driver of the basketball I have ever witnessed in all my many years covering this game. Never has anybody caught my eye as a driver of the basketball the way the freight train LeBron James, especially in year 18, when he looks like he's put on a couple of pounds through his time off, but it's okay. He'll get it back as they start getting into the playoffs. But the point is, he looks like he weighs like 270 now. He's up there at 6 feet 9 inches tall. He is so powerful, you cannot keep this man from the rim. So where he's at his worst is like at the end of game 1 of the 2018 finals at Oracle against these Golden State Warriors, and he got Steph to switch on him, and all of a sudden he's got to make a choice because it's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You got to make a choice. Am I going to drive it? Am I going to pull up and shoot it? Or am I going to dish it? And he dished it to George Hill, who then missed the second free throw. Okay, so we know that story. But the point is, this time, he's at his best when there's no decision to make, because what I love for him to do is take it, decide, you can't stop me. I'm going to drive this basketball, and I'm going to the free throw line. Well, what do we know about LeBron? Well, what is his Achilles heel for a superstar, one of the greatest players ever? He is the worst late-game superstar free throw shooter we have ever seen. And by the way, since he has entered this league, no one has missed more late and close free throws than LeBron James has. No one's missed more field goals late and close. That's in the last 5 seconds on the free throws. In the 10 seconds, you can throw in field goals.
Well, let me ask you a question. Since he's entered the league, who's won more championships? Okay. And MVPs? Okay, fine. Since you put it like that.
Okay, fine. But we're talking about this shot at this moment.
The one that went in?
So you take the decision out of his hands, because he doesn't have to think, okay, if I drive it, they're going to foul me, and I'm going to have to go stand there and make those free throws. He was 6 out of 9 last night, which is about what he usually is, but he'd missed 3.
Well, he didn't have time to drive it, Skip.
Okay, I got it. That's the point. You took the decision out of his hands, because the last thing he was expecting, KCP winds up with the ball in the middle of the lane and has to kick it back out. And it's like, oh, my God, I got to shoot it because we're at the end of the clock. His quote after the game was, I just had to get something up on the rim, because that's what you do. Right. You just throw it up there and hope you can get the offensive rebound if you miss, because what are the odds on that shot going in? I don't know. What do you give it? Like it's below 10%.
Hold on. Considering who it is and considering the moment, 75%.
75%. This man shot this year from the three-point line 36.5%. That ranked 110th of 156 qualified three-point shooters. He is way below average as a three-point shooter, so that's not his forte.
Whoa. Maybe this is Tebow effect. You remember how Tebow got extremely accurate in the last 5 minutes of the game? Well, you see what you do? You see what you do now. Somebody can be bad for the entire game. Now, Tom Brady can be bad for the entire game. You say it's a game-winning drive. Now, how many walk-offs has Tom Brady had? His defense has had to hold up. The field goal kicker has had to kick. Now with LeBron James, you change it again, Skip. You got to stop moving it.
By the way, from the free throw line, just this season, LeBron is 69.8%.
69%.
That ranks 96th of 110 qualified free throw shooters. So he's a poor free throw shooter and a poor three-point shooter by his standards of being the GOAT. You're wearing your GOAT outfit.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. So by that standard, Michael Jordan was a terrible, because he shot. You keep saying LeBron is a terrible three-point shooter, but this is what I know. LeBron James shot a higher percent from the three-point line than Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan.
Well, obviously, I'll defend Michael on this, because nobody valued the three-point shot.
Was the three-point line in? It came in 1979. Chris Ford was the first one to make a three. So was the three-point line in when Michael Jordan played? Yes or no? Was it in when Kobe played? Yes or no? So he shot a better percent from the three than both of those guys, a higher percent from the field than both of those guys, but he's a terrible shooter.
Well, he is a terrible shooter by today's standards because they have perfected the art of three-point shooting. The whole league this year made more three-point shots than ever before. They shot a higher percentage as a league this year than ever before. The league shot 39%. LeBron shot 36%.
So if he shot 36% and Jordan is around a 33%, so what would that make Jordan right now?
Okay, he didn't even try to shoot threes. He didn't practice threes.
Let me ask you a question.
But I do remember game 1 against Portland in the finals. He's going like this because he just keeps making threes.
So a guy that never practiced threes somehow made 6 straight. You see what you do, Skip? At some point in time, you got to come to the realization like a lot of people have.
Clutchest shooter ever.
No. That's not what the numbers say.
So finally, what does LeBron usually do? He usually decides to drive it and dish it. Drive it and kick it to another three-point shooter and risk critics such as myself saying, well, LeBron, you're the man, you're the GOAT. Why don't you take the three? It's your team and your turn and your time. You do that. But oftentimes he will drive it and kick it. Remember Kyle Korver in game 3
George Hill, he kicked a couple of them to UD and people jumped on him. But that's the thing though, Skip. If he passes it, LeBron takes the shot. LeBron takes the shot, makes the shot. Oh, that's lucky. See, he can't win because no matter what the situation, his luck or you should have done this. He did the thing that he was supposed to do. Being LeBron James, he got a shot up. He made the shot. Instead of congratulating him, said, hey, what to take a shot in a big-time moment for big-time players, that's what they do. You trying to find a way to criticize him.
I'm not trying to find a way. I'm playing off what he immediately said on ESPN live for the country to hear.
Yes.
I was seeing 3 rims.
Yeah.
Well, how can I not call it anything but lucky? He's just heaving it. What he sees is a bunch of rims.
It looked like.
Guess what I found? Thank you, God, it went in.
It seems to me, Skip, that he got poked, if I'm not mistaken, his left eye more so than the right eye. So maybe he did have some double or triple vision. I think everybody that if you played the game of basketball, you've accidentally got a finger in the eye.
Okay.
And you know how it is. We've seen, now it didn't swell, Skip. We've seen guys in UFC or boxing get a thumb in the eye, and the eye closes almost instantaneous. It didn't do that. But you could imagine getting a finger in the eye. Now, this is not just a pickup basketball game. This is not we playing at the park. This is not we playing some willy-nilly game at the YMCA. This is for, to go on. Now, I don't know how they judge this game. Is this a regular season game or is this a playoff game? It's a little fuzzy how they're going to equate it, but this is what we know. Only one player has had more game-tying or go-ahead baskets in the final minute. That's one Kobe Bryant. Nobody has as many playoff walk-offs. Is Go James. Nobody. So how is he not clutch if nobody? They've been playing basketball damn near 80 years, and nobody has as many walk-off game winners in the playoffs as Go James. So please explain to me, in all of my 2 million followers, how is he not clutch?
Your 2 million followers?
Yeah.
I got 3 million. So I'm going to explain to my 3 million.
Okay, well, go
How
ahead.
about that?
Okay, go ahead. Explain it to him.
LeBron James has played, I think it's 320 more games than Michael Jordan played. He has missed so many of these. He's made a few of them. And a little later in the show, please hang on for this. We're going to delve and dive deeply into his career of these type of shots because he has made some. The best one he ever made was against Jimmy Butler when Jimmy was playing for the Timberwolves in a regular season game. That's one of the 7 walk-offs that he's made in 320 games. I'm sorry, 320 more than Michael Jordan.
Okay.
But the point is, that was one where you create a shot. If he had needed to create a shot with 5 seconds left and step back on Andrew Wiggins and made a 3 the way Steph makes threes, you'd have me. I'd be in here. I would have given him I would have stood up on this table and given him a standing ovation. This was a minute left at the shot clock with no choice to make except, listen to this. He actually fell away from the shot. And guess who he was guarded by? He was guarded by the smallest man on the other team. Little tiny Steph had switched on to him, so he didn't even... Wiggins bothers him a little bit, as we certainly saw in the first half.
Yeah, when they picked him up, they tried to tire him out. They pick him up at at full court. But let me ask you a question.
Wiggins blocked his shot. Remember, right early in the game, Wiggins got him early, and then he had another one blocked at the rim by Draymond.
Can I ask you a question?
So the point is, he got the switch on to Steph, so this late clock 3 is over the smallest guy on the other team.
Well, the thing what happened was Steph got sucked down because he knew LeBron was out there, but he's like, even if they get it to him, he's like, there's a greater chance that he's gonna miss. than not. So he was like, he got sucked down on KCP, and the ball somehow found its way to LeBron.
Yep.
But you remember he hit a shot like this in the playoffs against Orlando. Remember against
You know
Turkoglu.
what? It was just like that, because what was that? There was like 1 second left where there's no decision to make, and it was Mo Williams who inbounded at Cleveland. It's game 2, and they're down a game to Orlando, right?
Yeah.
And all he can do is catch it near the top of the circle and just turn and shoot it on Turkoglu. Remember this?
Yeah.
And Turkoglu actually plays him to drive, and I'm like screaming at the TV, just get up in his face. Turkoglu's like 6'8".
But guess what happened? You see, and Paul George was thinking just like Turkoglu played him for the drive. Well, Paul George played him for the jumper because he saw what he did to Turkoglu, and guess what? He drove right by PG, another game winner.
And he shot a left-handed layup off the glass because LeBron is naturally left-handed.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing he really does with his left hand is shoot a basketball. Everything else,
with his right hand. With his right
hand, because you're absolutely right. But Skip, I mean, some point in time, Skip, the numbers don't lie. We can't keep saying Tom Brady isn't clutch or this guy isn't clutch if he keeps winning ball games in the clutch. And that's what LeBron does. This notion that he's not clutch when he has more playoff buzzer beaters. And he's tied with Kobe. Now, we think Kobe Bryant is one of the 2 or 3 clutchest players in NBA history. Go James is not thought of like that, but he has the same number.
If we do total career buzzer beaters, Michael Jordan leads all at 9. LeBron is at 7. And again, LeBron has played 320 more games than Michael. Just keep that in perspective.
Yeah, but how many at the end has he taken? You have to understand, Skip. You tell me LeBron James is not a scorer. LeBron James is not a shooter. So he should have like 2. How many?
I always say he's a scorer. He's going to break Kareem's record.
Whoa, that's no. Would you talk? Oh, that's just lying.
Well, it's a minor miracle because he's a poor shooter who's going to break the all-time scoring record. What does that tell you? He's the greatest driver of the basketball ever.
Well, Skip.
He's also played longer than anybody.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well,
you see what you try to do? So the only reason Tom Brady has his number is because he played better or because he's really good when he actually played?
Do you know how many of these shots he's run from in the middle of the clock?
See?
Because he runs from them because he does not want to take it. He'll take them or he'll pass it.
So now either he'll pass it, he'll run from it, he takes it and make it, and he got lucky. So how does he win?
Okay, how do you explain that he is simply the worst late-game free throw shooter we've ever seen for any star?
Well, he wasn't on the free throw line.
Okay.
So good. The best way to avoid that is stay away from the free throw line.
I'm glad you brought that up. There's one last piece to this puzzle last night that we also need to address. So what happens? Golden State goes down after the shot with a minute left, and guess who takes the shot of the night for Golden State? A kid who's not ever played in any playoff game. This didn't count as an actual playoff game, but Jordan Poole had never played in a playoff game. If we could just see this quickly. He takes a shot and misses it, and LeBron gets the rebound, and I'm saying, okay, now you can be the king. Now you can be the quote-unquote GOAT. Just drive it and get to the free throw line and ice the game. So what does he do? What does he do? Drive it, King. Just drive it. Take off. No, they can't keep you. Go. Go all the way. Go all the way. Whoops. Kind of lost the ball because I didn't really want to go in. Yeah. He went in half-hearted and winds up having to kick it to Wesley Matthews for a 35-foot three.
He lost the ball.
Okay, because he was half-hearted. He wanted no part of the free throw line. You could just see it in his body language.
So let me ask you,
remember Game 5 of the finals last year? He did the same thing. It's like, I don't want this. I don't want this. I'll kick it all the way back to the top of the circle to Danny Green.
Let me kick it to Danny Green, the guy that once held the record for the most threes in an NBA Finals. So we're going to kick it to that guy.
I'm the king, and I'm going to kick it to Danny Green, who you're all over most of the year because he comes and goes.
But see, here's the thing, though, Skip. When Michael Jordan makes a pass, it's the right play. When he passed it to Paxson, when Kerr got the ball, that's the right play. Only LeBron James, no matter what he does, is never right. If he makes a shot, he got lucky. If he passes the ball, why would he ever pass? So I'm just trying to figure out, how does he win? He won the game. They suffocated defense. Because think about it, they gave up, 55 points in the first half and gave up 45 in the second half. And they won the game. Remember, I told you, the mark of any great team, offensively or defensively, can you get done what you need to get done when you absolutely had to? They had to get stops. They had to turn them over. And what did they do?
It was a lucky, desperate three. I'm seeing 3 rims, Remember, let's make a deal. Door number 1, 2, or 3.
Desperate or
he
not,
chooses door number
got it done.
2. I don't know.
You know
I
what?
see us moving on to Phoenix.
Either way, yes, moving on to
let's
Phoenix.
talk about
3
Phoenix.
days rest before that.
3
Will
days?
the Lakers be able to get it done against the Red Hot Suns in a 7-game series? And as impressive as LeBron was, we haven't even talked much about Steph.
No mercy.
LeBron and the Lakers sealed the 7th seed last night with their 103-100 win over the Warriors and will now face the Suns in the first round. The Lakers went 1-2 against Phoenix in the regular season, but did win the late season matchup by double digits. So, Shannon, who wins this Lakers-Suns series now that it's official?
I'm taking the Lakers. I'm taking the Lakers. I'm going to say 6, but would I be surprised if it went 7 games, Skip? But I am taking the Lakers. Because, Skip, I don't believe the Lakers can play any worse than what they played in the first half. If you look at their top 3 scores, Schroeder, LeBron, and AD, Skip, they were combined 4 for 28. Normally, you play that bad in the first half, regardless of who you playing, you're going to you're going to lose. And they probably should have been down more than what they were actually down, even though Steph hit that 3-point shot, Skip, as time expired in the second half. But the Lakers got to play better. Skip, I love AD because I think AD has the ability to be an MVP. But I shouldn't have to, in my timeline, and I shouldn't have to read, AD, stop selling for jumpers. AD, you're great. AD, be great. AD, play great. You shouldn't have to reiterate that to him. But jumper is jumper, jumper, jumper. Now, I get it. Draymond is more than adequate down on the block. He's stronger than you think. And you're looking at him, he's only 6'7", but he's a hell of a defender now. You're just not finna run over him. But I believe AD is a better offensive player than Draymond is a defensive player. And that's not to take away from Draymond because he had a heck of a game last night. But AD got to stop selling. And if you look at what he did, Skip, when he played them, he punished DeAndre Ayton. It wasn't no jumpers. He was down on the block. He was shooting a little mid-turnaround. He was in the lane, posted. He was doing all those things. And that's what they're going to need. I'm taking the Lakers in 6 because I believe as long as LeBron doesn't have any setbacks, Skip, the ankle will keep improving. Now, we know what the Suns represent. CP3 threw his hat in the MVP discussion. It doesn't matter what, Skip. He hasn't won it, but his teams always improve. They're better than what they were the year before he got there. So we know what book is, but all that being said, they don't have guys that can shoot it like what Steph Curry can shoot it. Steph Curry concerned me because I know he can get radioactive, and they have other guys that can get radioactive. This is a team that's more conventional. They have bigs, which plays to our strength. So I'm gonna take the Lakers. I'm gonna say 6. I'm gonna go Lakers in 6.
Lakers in 6.
Yeah.
And you were thinking of Lakers in 5?
No, I was thinking Lakers in 7, but I'm gonna go 6. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were not that impressed with what you witnessed last night?
From the Lakers?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't impressed. But to find a way to win, I think that's the mark of a really good team, is you play that bad and somehow still find a way to win. They weren't supposed to win that game, Skip. You can't shoot the way they shot the ball in the first half. You should have probably been down by 20 plus. But then they took that suffocating defense. I told you it would come. I told you it would come. Hawk them. Walk them down.
You just bully balled them.
Yeah,
That's what you did.
That's what we do.
Okay.
Gonna do it in Phoenix, too.
Before I launch on this, allow me to say that the Clippers were resting and watching and licking their chops last night over what they were seeing.
Okay.
They can't wait
Okay.
to get you in the conference finals. And they're hoping you survive to the conference finals
Skip,
so they can finish you off.
Skip, come on. With Kawhi averaging 15 points a game?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Just remember I'm saying
And backboard
this, okay?
Pete?
I kept telling you about Tom Brady last year. I'm telling you about the Clippers now. Here they come.
I know what you didn't do last summer.
So here's what you realized last night. You had a huge learn from this game, is that the guy that you keep crowing about over there does not fit and does not work. So you fell into something last night that opened your eyes and showed you that Andre the Giant, a.k.a. the Big Penguin, does not work.
He works.
He is a ball stopper and a lane clogger, and they tried to do it in the first half, and it was just a disaster. Nobody could make a shot because they're trying to work around that giant body in the middle of the lane. He just gets in the way, and he can't score it consistently enough to merit the space that he eats in the middle of your offense. So what did they do in the second half? They said enough of that. Am I right?
Well, Skip, he got in foul. He be getting ticky-tack fouls, Skip, that really takes him out of his rhythm.
Yeah. Well, I think he should be taken out of the
rotation. I know that's what you want, because you don't want us to get no offensive rebounds and putbacks. That's why you want him out the game.
You've been beating the drum's drum over there, and he's just wrong. I said it from day one. Kareem Abdul-Drummond does not fit or work.
Watch what he does to Aiden.
And guess what? You're going to need that guy named Gasol who's still lost down the bench. You're going to need him at some point.
But you know what happened last night, Skip? The guy that really hurt us last night was Schroeder. And you see what they did, because they got that lead, and then they took Caruso out, put Schroeder in. And what happened? Golden State goes on a run and gets back in the lead. And then he goes ISO ball 1-on-5. Frankie V called a timeout and got his butt up out the game. Caruso came back in there, and we won the game. Schroeder is trying to prove now, Skip, that he can score in the playoffs. Schroeder playing for the wrong reasons. Schroeder playing for a contract. He's trying to get 5 for 125. That's what Schroeder's doing.
We have internal dissension. We have it right here, right now.
I don't know.
Shannon says we have dissension in our ranks.
No. I don't know how they think. I'm just talking about what I see.
Okay.
Because you, Skip, 3 of 14, he had a -20. Minus 20. Nobody else was even the next closest was KCP -7. Even Andre the Giant, as you call him, was only -1. Schroeder was -20. What would go, Jay?
Bad game for little Dennis the Menace, right? He was menacing you.
Yeah, Skip.
Right?
And what can't you do, Skip? You can't foul a three-point shooter. He fouled Steph. We had the momentum. We up 7. We going to make this run, blow this thing open, and he come right in the game and foul Steph.
Okay. Now, on to the Phoenix Suns. I have nothing but respect for Monty Williams, one of my favorite coaches. He is the coach of the year, and he deserved it. They went 51-21. They led the NBA in road wins with 24. That's special.
That is,
That's hard to do. They are 4th in offensive efficiency and 9th in defensive efficiency. So when you're top 10, top 5, it works. Yeah. That's what just happened. And obviously, Chris Paul should have been at least in the MVP conversation.
He's going to get some votes, Skip.
He's going to get some votes because he was the veteran catalyst for this team this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've got young talent.
Yeah.
But here's the point. It's completely inexperienced young talent when it comes to this stage at this level of playoff basketball.
That's what the Pelicans need. They need a Chris Paul. They need a veteran.
Once upon a time, they had him. And they nearly drove my Spurs out of the playoffs just because of that little pit bull that was Chris Paul.
You're right.
Okay, so now let's boil this down. I don't think Phoenix can win more than one game off your team. And I'm not even sure they can win that one game, and it's because of experience. Because when I look at this, LeBron James, your man, the GOAT, you say, the king, 260 playoff games he's played. Think of that, 260. Guess what? That is about 40 more than the totality of playoff games played by Phoenix Suns. So he's played almost 40 more playoff games than the whole Phoenix roster has. What does that tell you? And by the way, we shouldn't just stop with LeBron, because Gasol, I just mentioned, he'll get back in the rotation. He's played 94 playoff games. He's been there and done all that, right? And we start going down the line, and AD's played 34, Schroeder's played 46, most of them for the Thunder. Trez has played 26, Wesley Matthews 46, KCP 25 mostly last year. Markeith's played 45 playoff games. Even Jared Dudley, not that he's going to get in the game, he's played 42.
He ain't going to get in the game.
Okay, but he's there. He's part of it. He's the mascot, and he's the halftime speech maker. That's what LeBron said, that Jared and Markeith were the two who spoke up at halftime and read them the riot act.
Yeah, if you watch Skip during the game, Keith was always in everybody's ear. When they shooting the free throws or timeout, he's talking to everybody.
Okay, I got it. So the problem is, after Chris Paul's 109 playoff games, you got Jay Crowder's played 72, and then the starting lineup dwindles to 0. Because you mentioned Devin Booker, he's 0. And Bridges is 0. And DeAndre Ayton is 0 playoff games. And now you're throwing him into the fire against the king in his court?
You see, Skip, you remember the Flintstones, and they had a guy on there named Slip Rock. And he was bad luck because anytime he came around, something bad was going to happen. And every time you start talking good about the Lakers, just like last night, they're going to blow them out. They're going to mop the floor because the Warriors, you bad luck. I know what you're doing. Stop doing that.
Maybe there's method to the madness.
I know there's method to your madness. You want them to get beat so bad, but don't do that, Skip.
No, when I really feel that somebody can beat them, I will tell you that. And I'm on the record. If they get to the Clippers, they will lose. And I will be on the record before it happens.
What you mean if we get to the Clippers? If the Clippers get to us?
Well, you can...
If the Clippers get to us?
Okay, but here's the point. They have a great first draw, 7 versus 2, because if I look hard at what happened to Phoenix when the pressure started to get to them, because the pressure rose over the last week because they had a real shot at being the 1 seed.
They did.
And what started happening? Nothing that great, because all of a sudden they lose 3 late games, and one of them was at your place. And there was no king. With no LeBron James, it was just AD and a whole lot of AD.
And no Schroeder. I don't think Schroeder was there either.
Schroeder was COVID. He was gone. And AD goes 42-12 with 3 steals and 3 blocks and annihilated DeAndre Ayton by himself. Yeah. He just ate him alive and spat him out in the middle of the floor at Staples.
Gonna do it again.
Wow. I think you will too, because again, DeAndre Ayton's not ready for this moment yet. He's a nice young player, but he's still very young. And he plays young to me. He plays hesitantly, like he's not sure how to do it yet. He hasn't sort of grown into his body, into his physique just yet. So they beat you. The Lakers beat Phoenix badly with no LeBron and now he's your favorite target, Schroeder.
Ain't no favorite target. You know, you saw it.
You said it.
Did you see last night?
Okay, and I remind you, late when they had a chance to catch Utah, they go to Atlanta and just get smoked, 135-103, and then they went to Golden State and they lost 122-116. The wheels were starting to wobble, and one of them came off late. You love that? Do you really think they're ready for you guys now?
But I think the thing is the fact that they got Chris Paul, who's a calming effect, Monty Williams, who's I think is an outstanding coach. He'll have those guys ready to play. They understand. The thing is, but Skip, look, if you're telling me this was one game, but I think the thing is because it is a series, and do I believe that Phoenix can beat the Lakers 4 times? I don't. And that's why I'm going to Lakers. I'm going to take the Lakers in 6 because I think the size. You look at Ayton, and then you got Saric coming off the bench. You got Kaminsky.
Yeah.
But Skip, they don't really have the size to deal with us.
Yep.
AD has to understand. AD, more times than not, you're going to be the second best player on the court. In this situation, I believe we have the 2 best players that are in this series, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I believe we have the 2 best.
All right.
AD needs to play like that. He has to skip. When I went on, I felt, I don't care who was the other receiver, I felt I was the best. AD has to realize that I'm the best. And sometimes, I know LeBron on my team, but I'm the best player tonight. And go do it.
Okay. Well, he was the best player in the bubble for the Lakers.
Oh, there you go.
He or Rondo, one of the 2. Well, it's true.
Well, who got the trophy? Who got the Bill Russell trophy?
I forget. Okay, bottom line to the Phoenix-LA first-round series.
Okay.
Chris Paul. It's going to boil down to Chris Paul versus LeBron James and leadership and driving force and all the above. Chris Paul, I've occasionally called him CP0, as in 0 rings, because he's never even played in a finals, right? LeBron's, how many is he up to now? What is he up to?
10.
10 finals?
Yeah.
God. So it's 10-0 in finals. Here's the playoff record. CP3 is 53-58 in postseason games. He is 5 under 500. LeBron James is 172-88 in the postseason. He is plus 84. 84 games over 500.
Go.
Who's your money on?
Man, I'll go.
I got to go 5 games, Lakers in 5. And the only danger is games 1 and 2, you need to take care of business early. You need to at least win 1. If you lost 2 of them because they're such a good road team, you could have some problems.
Who?
The Lakers.
We played. We're in that building to start. We're gonna go ahead and.
That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna swipe.
That's dangerous. You need to go. You should go win both these games. Actually,
we're gonna get one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yes, LeBron got it done, and that couple days rest will be important. But you know who tried everything to win last night? It was Steph Curry. He had a game high, 37 points last night, and the Warriors lost to the Lakers. Steph really did all he could to keep his team in the game, had an opportunity late to send it to overtime, but wasn't able to reel in the inbounds pass with 2 seconds remaining for a game-tying three-pointer. So, Shannon, please give Steph a letter grade for his performance last night.
Skip, I don't normally do this. I don't normally give A's in a losing effort because I think the ultimate goal is that you need to win. But considering what he did and considering how undermanned that they were, I got to give him an A. Hell, as a matter of fact, since I'm here, I'm going to give him an A+. I don't, Skip, because I don't know what else he could have done. I mean, they blitzed him, they trapped him with double, they tripled him, and he was still able to get up. And he still, Skip, he shot 50% from the floor. He was 6 of 9 from 3 after they threw when Frankie V said, we're going to throw the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, they threw the stove, the refrigerator.
They went down and got the Clipper sink. They threw the basement sink at him.
Everything. I mean, Schroeder tried, Caruso tried, THT tried, KCP tried, AD, LeBron, Drum, everybody tried to trap him, Skip, and he was still doing it. And then at the end of the half, I said, get the ball out of his hands, make Draymond, make anybody else. What they do? They let him float, and he just dart like he's going to go to the basket, knowing he knows there's not a whole lot of time. He can't get to the basket. All he wants to do is create a little separation, and boom. I was like, oh, my goodness. I told y'all don't let this man get going, and y'all let him get going. Now we got our hands full for the rest of the night. And he gave it to us, Skip. I mean, but what can you do, Skip? I mean, I don't know how you stop this. There's not a bad shot. You know, everybody else before Steph Curry, you taking the shots that he's taking and making, that's a bad shot. And if you're not a historically great player, the coach will snatch your butt out the game for taking those shots.
Okay.
But he was spectacular. 37 total points, 11 in the fourth quarter. Big three after big three after big three. Great finishes at the rim, Skip. You know, Kyrie, no one can finish at the rim like Kyrie. But Steph Curry is not slouch at the rim, finishing at the rim. Either side with either hand, he was simply spectacular last night. And he was what he was last night and what he's been over the last 35, 40 days, which is sensational. Skip, I gave him an A because I don't really know what else he could have done.
A+, you gave
A+. I gave him an A+ because I don't really know what else he could have done to help the Warriors win. 12 of 23, 6 of 9, 7 of 8, and he was a +4. Everybody else was either minus. Draymond was the only other guy that was above, that had Andrew Wiggins, was a +1. Everybody else was either 0 or minus. Steph Curry did all he possibly could to get this win, but he just didn't have enough horses to run along with him.
Okay, before I give Steph a letter grade for last night, allow me to say our man Michael Rappaport texted at halftime just after Steph shot what felt like a dagger. If there's such a thing as a dagger at the end of the first half, he shot it and made it, right? Because it put him up 13. And I knew as soon as I saw the text, it was the ultimate jinx text. And I didn't acknowledge it or answer it because you try to let it lay. Because I just immediately, I told Ernestine, the Lakers just won the game because this is the ultimate jinx.
It's funny.
You cannot do it.
It's funny that you say that because when they were up 11-12, guess who was blowing my phone up? Just texting me back and forth. Hey, how you doing? How the family doing? I said,
well,
Mike,
guess who? Guess what?
And I said, Mike, I'm going to call you back after the game. Guess who sent me the voicemail every time I call after the game was over? One Michael Rappaport. I know you were.
Because he was requesting to come on our show today because he wanted to rip and slash your Lakers with one of his stand-up routines. And I would have welcomed it. It would have been fun. But it was doomed as soon as he started to prematurely text. You have to let it lay, let it play, let it finish. If it finished, then you got it because it's in the can,
That's how he front run. He just texted me, hey, how you doing? Tell Skip I said hello. Okay, you got Skip number. You tell Skip hello.
Back to the grade. I did challenge Steph last night. I said he was going to go 2 for 14 because he was going to get triple teamed and he was going to force up shots and force passes. And I dared him because he's had a legacy and a history of coming up even smaller than he is in some of the biggest playoff games he's played. He gift-wrapped LeBron's, how many championships does he have? 4. He gift-wrapped number 3 for LeBron because in games 5, 6, and 7, I dare you to go look it up and look what this man didn't do against your Cleveland Cavaliers at that point in those 3 games because he was abysmal from the field and from 3. And then in games 4 and 6 against Toronto, he came up really small at home against Kawhi and company. Okay, so last night, the reason I'm going to give him a B+, because he did rise and shine in every other capacity, but you swept this under your little carpet over there. He had 6 turnovers and only 3 assists. Well, that shocked me because I gave him 10 assists for the game because I thought
they're going to make him a passer.
Yeah, they just turned him into a passer, and early on they did. But I thought he could do enough damage with his passing to get open looks for whoever. Wiggins had a pretty good game, decent game.
He started out hot.
Yeah, he did. But the point was, 6 turnovers to only 3 assists is no good. And what happened in the third quarter when you guys turned up the defensive heat? He had 3 big turnovers, and his man Draymond had 3 more. So they just unraveled in the third quarter. And as Steve Kerr said, to him, they were unforced errors. It wasn't like the Lakers were just taking the ball out of his hands.
Well, KCP did take it out of his hand one time.
But the point was, he was just coming unglued. So was Draymond. And I got to tell you, as much as I respect Draymond on defense, he was an offensive liability for them last night. It even came down to the one play where Steph hit him right under the basket, right in the hands with a point-blank little layup dunk, you know.
Yeah, and he lost it.
Muffed it, right?
Yeah, Wiggins did the same thing. Wiggins had one that could have put him up.
I agree.
But, Skip, the thing was, I was hoping they make Steph Curry. Because I said all along, if Kent Bazemore and Poole and Toscano Anderson, if they can hit, take, and make those shots, I can live with it. I just didn't want to see this. I was like, I think the only critique that I would have is not the turnover, Skip, is that I believe he should have got up more than 9 threes. That's what I believe he should.
It's just pretty hard to get him up when you're triple team.
I don't care.
They're chasing him everywhere.
They were.
They had the big penguin chasing him a bunch of times.
And that was the thing, because it's hard, because and he did a great job of staying out of corners, because he knows if they get him in a corner, he's dead to right, because here come AD, here come Big Penguin, along with one of those guards to trap him. So he did a great job. And guess what? He felt him overplaying. He backdoored. Remember, he got a couple of layups on the back door, Skip. He was just considering, Skip, but you look at the guys that he's playing with. I mean, Kevon Looney had a bunch of rebounds, but Kevon Looney doesn't scare you.
I agree.
Bazemore doesn't scare you.
I told you yesterday, he's the head of the snake, but there's no body.
Right.
It's just the head.
And you look at Skip, I mean, if somebody would have told me, I probably would have bet a good chunk of money, Skip, that he wouldn't get this many points.
Okay.
He wouldn't get this many points.
So I'm going to remind you that when we were breaking down this game over the last 2 days leading up to this game last night, when I would mention all the possible defenders for Steph Curry, you would correct me and say, no, you're leaving out Schroeder, right? Well, I left him out for a reason, because even though there was that stat floating around that nobody in the league had done a better job of holding down Steph than Schroeder had in the 3 games that they met this year, he's not that guy on this guy.
No.
Because this guy is the guy. He's not only too small, but he overplays everything, and he gambles. He's like the ultimate Kluwer cornerback who's jumping every route.
Yeah.
He's jumping everything, trying to gamble. And Steph just eats his lunch.
Yes.
He dribbles him into foolishness. He makes him look silly because Steph has a great handle.
He has
it's not Kyrie, but it's
plenty decent enough to get his shot off.
Yeah. And he has underrated Steve Nash-like quickness, where it's in a confined space, he's quicker than you think he is. And by the way, I applaud Steph. You realize this year he's put on about 10 pounds of upper body muscle. He looks good, man. Steph
does a great job of starting and stopping, Skip, because he hesitates, and then he'll go right by you and go to the rim.
He does.
And then when you back up off him, guess what? He steps back and pops that 3 yards.
And his release is as quick as you've ever seen it. So I give him high marks.
Yes.
I'm going to go B+, because he made some threes that were spectacular high degree of difficulty.
He had one over LeBron. He had one over AD. I mean, that one right before the end of the half, Skip. I mean, 3 guys are on him, but nobody traps him. They just keep forcing him to his left.
Yep.
Well, you got to trap him. You got to make him give that ball up.
Yep.
Make Draymond. If Draymond hits that 3 at the end of the half, Skip, I can live with that. Anybody else, and I said, let anybody other than Steph beat you.
Yep.
And that's what it came down to, because at the end of the game, Skip, they're like, Steph, you're not really getting this ball.
I agree.
I don't care. Kent Bazemore, Toscano Anderson, Poole, anybody else. But, Steph, you are not taking this shot.
Yet, in the fourth quarter, how did Steph mostly keep them barely afloat? With his 2-point shots, because his whipped cream shots, they're special, man.
Yeah.
I agree with Jeff Van Gundy. The most underrated part of his game is everything he can do at the rim with his high spins off the glass.
Yeah, I mean, he's shooting the ball high out the rim. I mean, I was like, okay, you shoot this, LeBron gonna get this one. He's like, no, LeBron ain't gonna get this. I mean, it leaves the screen. And he's so good, like I said, Skip, the up and unders. Yeah. He either gonna make the shot or he's gonna force you to foul him.
I know the kids don't know the Globetrotters, but he could have played for the Globetrotters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But Skip, I mean, to do what he did, given the roster that he's playing with, like you said, Draymond didn't really give him anything offensively. Draymond normally gives you about 8 points, Skip. He normally gives you that. Draymond only get what he gave you last night, 2?
Draymond
gave you
0 for 5 from the field. 0 for 5 with 6 turnovers. But that's a liability.
But he gave you his nine rebounds, and, 8 assists. But yeah, the turnovers, that's too many turnovers. Oh, Steph Curry had 6, Draymond had 6. That's 12.
Yep, there you go.
20. What got them back in the game, Skip, is they had those 15 in the third quarter, in the second half, and they had like 11 or 12 in the third quarter.
Yeah. It was 20-11 in turnovers. That's the ball game.
And that's normally the Lakers normally the turnover problem.
No mercy. Guys, the Jaguars announced they have officially signed Tim Tebow this morning, but Tebow's former Jets teammate Greg McElroy warns Jacksonville they might not want to put Tebow at tight end. McElroy said the Jets, quote, tried switching him to tight end and he wasn't good. The former quarterback continued saying, quote, Tim is a good dude and I hope the best for him, but it's a sideshow and that's what it will become training camp time. So, Shannon, do you agree that signing Tebow will become a sideshow? Maybe it already has.
1,000. That's Greg McElroy, who happened to be on the team at the time. Greg McElroy also happened to be a colleague at ESPN with one Tim Tebow. So the thing is that you're very cautious of how you approach because you still got to work with that guy, but you got to be 100. You got to keep it a buck. And he kept it a buck. We tried that, and he wasn't very good. The arrogance of this, thing about how arrogant a person must be to play a professional sport in which you're really not that good at. And they say, all the other teams, the 30-plus other teams says, nah, bruh, we saw what you had. You're not good. You say, you know what? I might not be good enough to play this sport, but I'm great enough to go play another professional sport, even if I haven't picked up a bat in 12 years. Well, that doesn't pan out. You know what? I'm arrogant enough to just think, I'm going to go back to the sport that jettisoned me, and I'm going to switch positions. Now, I haven't played in the league in 6 years, haven't taken an offensive snap in 9 years, but I'm just that good. Tim Tebow can't play no tight end. And it's going to rub guys the wrong way because professional sports, is supposed to be the last bastion of, I'm talking about not front office, Skip, on the field, on the court, on the diamond, where nothing else matters but your ability. Not who you know. Not if I grew up with this guy and my parents knew his parents, or I donated $15 million to a college. Professional sports is the last bastion where it's my ability versus your ability. Not who you know, not what you know. And guess Tebow got this spot because of who he know. His former coach lives 3 doors down and gave him an opportunity to switch positions. No other guy can be out of the NFL for 6 years, switch position, I'm not talking about go from corner to safety. I'm not talking about going from offensive tackle to offensive guard. I'm not talking about going to linebacker, because those are very similar. He going from a quarterback to a tight end. When he had an opportunity in teams like, would you like to move? Nope, that's not where I am right now. I'm above that. I'm Tim Tebow. I'm a quarterback. Skip, you know what it is. Let's be all the way 100. Let's keep it 100, Skip. And it's going to rub guys wrong in the locker room. It's already seemed to rub some of the coaches wrong because they know they don't deserve this chance. And Tim Tebow has never run a route. Tim Tebow has never played the position, never caught a ball, never blocked anybody. And now he thinks he can do it at the highest level. Greg McElroy is absolutely correct that this is what it's going to turn into. I mean, it turned into that in Denver. It turned into that in New York. So what you think is going to be in his hometown? He's from Jacksonville. He's looked at as a god in that area. Skip, it's no good. I agree with Greg McElroy. It's absolutely correct.
My turn. It is happening again. History is repeating itself for me. In 2011, I was on ESPN on a show that airs about the same time as this one, and we had just changed the format to all debate. For 2 hours, it was unheard of. We're going to do debate segments for 2 straight hours. And into our laps fell this kid, Tebow. And I had already gone on the record in 2010, as I've told you many times, and I said before he was drafted, yeah, I'd take him at the bottom of the first round, and if you'll run his college offense, the read option, let him ride and decide, he will win football games. He won't make you a Pro Bowl, but he will win football games for you. And I was exactly right. But what happened in 2011, we had a parade of ex-NFL stars. Not sure, well, one was in the Hall of Fame, but there was a parade of Shannon Sharpe type players who would come in every day, and I'd usually take 2-on-1 segment after segment after debate. And they would try to tell me that I was, as Chris Carter once told me, you're riding the wrong horse. And I'd say, nope, you're missing the point. And all Tebow did when he finally got that chance, when your Broncos fell to 1-4 with Kyle Orton at the helm, was he started to win football games late and close, because in the last 5 minutes of all those games that he played that year, he got deadly accurate and led the league in QBR in the last 5 minutes of those games. He kept pulling them out of the fire miraculously, because he might be off target for much of the game, and all of a sudden he would be deadly on target late in the game.
I'm not giving you credit. Skip, I'm not giving you credit for pulling my hand out the fire when you're the one that stuck my hand in the fire to begin with. So you get no credit for that.
He brought them back to win the AFC West. You know better than anybody how difficult that is to do when you start 1-4.
Yes, it is.
It's virtually impossible. Yes. And he pulled that off by pulling out of the fire game after game after game. Do I have to start remembering all the games starting with Miami and Chicago and at Minnesota?
Can I ask you a question, Skip? But how great must your defense be when your offense does nothing for 55 minutes and you have to keep the game close so he can do what he does in the fourth quarter?
Why didn't the defense play for Kyle Orton? Because he's milquetoast. He's not inspirational. Tebow became the driving force. He became the center of the NFL universe. And here became the point. He became a distraction for the Broncos because he was a media circus on a daily basis, because he wore his religion on his sleeve. And many members of the media are not religious and are skeptical, and made it a bigger and bigger story that he does talk about his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ after games.
I mean, look here. If you can play football, I don't care. I'll come get you out to church, or you don't have to go to church. All I want you to do is be able to help me win, because that's why we're there. We're there to win football games. So your religion doesn't have anything to do with me.
Okay, fine. But it had a lot to do with a lot of the media overreaction to Tim Tebow, because they'd never seen anything quite like that. Well, I've never seen anything quite like what he did to the Pittsburgh Steelers in that playoff game when he threw for 316 yards. If we could see it just one more time, I promise this is the last time.
No, you ain't
I promise. Overtime against Roethlisberger and company. It's Tebow. He actually, he threw a pass, and it was a perfect spiral. Hit Demaryius right in the hands. What? How did he do that? And he's going, and he's going, and he's gone. And the game is over, and Tebow has upset the Pittsburgh Steelers and moves on to play the Patriots the next week in the playoffs. He did that.
Right.
You can't take it away.
Right.
Which brings me back to Greg McElroy. I know Greg a little bit from my days at ESPN, and I do like him. As he said, Tebow's a good dude. I think Greg's a good dude. But I cannot tell you how much I dislike what he said about Tebow, because you want to talk about taking something out of context.
What do you think?
Yes, he was his teammate with the Jets that next year. And I know, because I heard this straight from Tebow's lips. Tebow had a choice between Rex Ryan or going home to Jacksonville to play for a really bad Jags team at that point. But Rex called him, according to Tebow, and I don't think Tebow's a liar, and Rex told him, he whispered sweet nothings in his ear, and Tebow thought that he virtually promised him the quarterback job, because remember, they were struggling with Mark Sanchez, right? Mr. Butt Fumble at that point. Sanchez, as he was first called by Rex Ryan. Okay? And Tebow said, I at least had been promised a 50-50 shot at winning the job. And he got a 0% shot at winning the job. He's not a great practice player. For whatever reason, he never got a chance to play quarterback that year in New York. And he did pick New York because it's a bigger stage with a better team, because they were pretty good. They had a chance to go compete for a Super Bowl. And it became a disaster, because what didn't happen? Well, Tebow played very little that year. He started exactly 0 games at quarterback.
Which is more than what he should have started.
what did he end up throwing? He threw 8 total passes that year. He was 6 of 8 for 39 yards. He played 73 offensive snaps as a gadget guy. That's 7% of the snaps. He played 1 snap as a tight end. So I don't know what McElroy is. He's talking about practice, I guess.
No.
Here's the point about tight end. He says the Jets tried switching him to tight end. He didn't want to be a tight end because he was a starting quarterback who had lifted a team to the playoffs and won a playoff game just the year before. He was devastated because he thought Rex Ryan lied to him and went back on his word. So if you suddenly in midstream at like week 8 or 9, you say, hey, Tim, I think it's not working out. You got to try tight end. What do you think Tim Tebow's going to say? No, his heart wasn't in it.
But now his heart is.
Well, again, you're missing the point. I've told you this 1,000 times, and this is 1,001. He will not play tight end, not traditional Hall of Fame Shannon Sharpe tight end. The blueprint was established by Urban Meyer when Tim was a freshman. Just go look at the tape of what happened with Chris Leak as the starting
why do you say tight end? Why not just say we're bringing him in as a positionless player? Why say tight end? Why not say quarterback?
Urban's just trying to get rid of the media hubbub. He's just trying to dismiss it so that there's no conjecture about, is he going to take snaps away from the guy you picked #1 overall, Trevor Lawrence, the new franchise quarterback?
But I wonder
he will take a few snaps.
I wonder why all the neighbors are concerned and want to come by my house every day when I get a pet lion. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen when you bring Tim Tebow in, a guy that has not played in 6 years? You know what? Mike Dicker said something the other day. He said, well, these tight ends in today's game, they don't block anybody. Well, what about catch the football? Hey, Jim, can you cue that tape? This is my last time I'm going to show it. No, I'm lying. I'm going to show it every time they talk about Tim Tebow as a tight end. Now, this is what a tight end needs to do. Don't duck. Okay. Look, this is what I know. And all my years of being on the football field, if they throwing something that's part of the football, you might want to catch it.
Well, before he even got his head around it was coming. He hadn't even gotten around, and the DB got a hand on the ball and deflected it.
That's my point. Okay. You got to get your head around. That's the part about being a tight end.
All right. I will bet you that next year he will catch very few passes because he will be used as an H-back. I've told you this 1,000 times. Now it's 1,002 times. H-back in the backfield. Maybe they'll wildcat him occasionally, direct snap it to him. They'll bulldoze him on any 3rd and short, 4th and short, or goal line situation. Any 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, because if you give him the ball, he can jump and throw the ball because he can be deadly accurate on a touchdown pass in a big game in a big moment.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. You keep saying that one game. Mark Sanchez took a team to the AFC Championship game 2 consecutive years. Beat Peyton Manning, beat Tom Brady.
First 2 years,
And all of a sudden, everybody, he was terrible. But all you do is heap praise on Tim Tebow for winning one game. And that guy beat Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
He was devastated that his dream got taken away from him. He's back now because his coach, do you remember what his coach said the other day about him? What he told his assistants, Urban Meyer?
Right.
He said, you don't understand. The assistants who had worked him out said, he looks like he's 18 years of age in condition. And Urban said, you don't understand. He's the most competitive psycho you will ever meet. And that's Tim Tebow. It's a force of competitive nature. That's what he will use next year. Small, but dynamic doses.
I'm not saying he's not competitive. I'm not saying he's not a good person. And his religion doesn't bother me. He's not a good football player. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
he's not a good football player.
Neither was Greg McElroy because that year, late in the year, he got to start one pro game. That was the only NFL game he started. Well, and he got sacked 11 times in that game. That was his one lone start.
You see what he did?
But I will give you this. He did beat Tim Tebow in an SEC championship game, and that's what he's hanging his hat on.
And what was Tim Tebow doing? And Urban came back for one more year after that and bounced on him. But that's neither here nor there. But you see what
Tebow's pretty good in that game. He threw for 247 and ran for 63. So combined, he went over 300 yards.
Whoa.
Pretty good.
But talk about what he did against Cincinnati. Remember Cincinnati? You talk about he threw for 482, had 4 touchdowns.
31 of 35 for 482.
But see, I think that's what Brian Kelly had left and went to, if I'm not mistaken, Notre Dame. But see what you did, Skip? See, this is what Skip Bayless do. And this is what a lot of Tebow supporters do. If you criticize Tim Tebow, you're jealous of him. If you criticize Tim Tebow, you're criticizing his religion. None of that bothers me.
I didn't say that about you
No. But you say he can force a competitive nature. Skip, he can't play football.
What do you tell me about Josh McDaniels? He can really coach offense, right?
Yeah.
He was the one who said, I want that guy with the 25th overall pick.
If that was the case, then why couldn't they find Coach Belichick always finds a spot for guys that can play. Why couldn't they find a spot for Tim Tebow?
Because they're not going to install the ride and decide read option when Tom Brady's the starting quarterback.
No, just find a play for it.
And Ryan Mallett's the backup. It's a pro-style
Troy
attack.
Brown played defense. Matthew Slater. They find places for guys that can play in New England.
We're going to have plenty of time, I promise, to talk all things Tim Tebow moving forward, Shannon. And Tebow put out a statement that he accepts this challenge, he embraces it, and he thanks everyone for the support as he embarks on this journey. So get ready, guys.
No mercy.
LeBron and the Lakers were able to fend off Steph Curry and the Warriors in the 7-versus-8 play-in game last night. All knotted up at 100 with a minute left. LeBron threw up a deep three to avoid a shot clock violation. And after the game, LeBron said, quote, after Draymond's finger to the eye, I was literally seeing 3 rims out there. So I just shot at the middle one. Well, it worked. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is joining us now. Chris, what a game. On a scale of 1 to 10, how clutch was LeBron's late three-pointer?
Jen, I'm going to say an 8. All right. And the only reason I'm not giving it a 10, there's 2 reasons. One, anytime someone other than Steph Curry or Dame Lillard hits a shot from the letters behind the hash mark, there's an element of luck there. All right. And secondly, LeBron himself said to Steph right after, I couldn't see, he said he was seeing 3 rims. I'm not going to go with the 3 rims. I'm just going to say his vision was blurry. I do believe it was blurry. So for those reasons, I docked him 1 point for each of those reasons, so I went with an 8. Otherwise, this was clutch, period, the end. It was a clutch shot, and there's a few reasons. One, look at his form. His form was pure. He squared his shoulders. We know he's got the strength to shoot from that far, so it wasn't like a heave, like he just threw it up. And he faded, but LeBron fades on a lot of his shots. So that's not unusual. So the form was true. And secondly, we've seen LeBron do this too many times now to doubt it. He does this on a regular basis. LeBron James has 7 career buzzer beaters. I know that wasn't a buzzer beater, but he has 7 career game-winning buzzer beaters, second only to Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Joe Johnson. LeBron's got 7, Kobe and Johnson have 8. Michael's got 9. That's it. He's got more than Larry Bird, more than Kareem and Magic combined, more than Kevin Durant, Reggie Miller, Steph Curry. I mean, he's clutch. What more do we need to see? This is what LeBron James does. So we have to give him his props. You saw last night what ESPN posted right after he hit that shot, that in the last 25 years, he's had 99 shots, including last night, 99 go-ahead or game-tying shots within the last minute of the fourth quarter or overtime. Second only to Kobe Bryant, who's got 101. The last 25 years. Look, guys, one of the biggest misnomers and misperceptions in NBA history, not right now, history, in the world of basketball is the perception that LeBron James is not clutch. LeBron James, what more does he have to do? He's got 5 game-winning baskets in the playoffs, more than Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant combined. I'm not saying I want him necessarily over Jordan in that moment, but you can't say LeBron's not clutch, though, just because he may not be MJ, and he hits them at a high percentage. So LeBron is getting it done. It's as simple as that. That was a clutch shot. He does that. And I know, having known LeBron his entire career, having talked to him about this, he's got a knack for making big shots. I think, Skip, you're right about this. When he doesn't think about it, And he didn't have time to think last night. I go back to Orlando, 2009. He didn't have time to think. Hits the three from deep. You remember that against Dwight Howard and crew in game 2. Chicago, the corner three-pointer in the playoffs. Didn't have time to think. That's when he's at his best because he's a cerebral player, so sometimes you think too much, but he was big and he has a knack for hitting these things, so it was clutch. Clutch.
I gave him a 10 because considering how bad he had played in the first half and none of his shots was really going from outside. I think he hit a couple of threes last night. Let me see what he was 2 or 4 from three-point line, and seemingly nothing was going to fall. And I should have gave him 11 because the very reason that you said you docked it, he had blurry vision. Now, they recommend that you don't drive a car with blurry vision, right? So let alone, so you playing a basketball game at the highest level, and they expect you to take and make a game winning. See what you just give? Another thing, another narrative. When LeBron James makes a shot in that situation, you say it's a go-ahead basket. Anybody else makes that shot, they say game winner. You know when Michael Jordan made that shot against Utah, they said game winner. All it did was put him ahead. Right? Right, Skip? So for me, I gave him a 10. 34 feet away. Time running down. Because also, who's on the other side? Skip Bayless, you say Tom Brady gets a lot of credit because who some of these games came against. What's he going up against? Well, the guy that's on the other side, that if he misses that shot...
The guy who's guarding him.
Oh, whoa, talk about. It's not your turn just yet. It's my turn right now. The guy that he's going against, Chris, is the greatest shooter to ever enter the portal of the NBA. So with that being said, he knows it's do or die. And when I keep telling you, Skip Bayless, my brush, I had this brush a long time. Good brush right there. I'm shoving everything. You take who you want, but when the rubber needs to meet the road, give me Goat James. Because I know more times than not, come playoff time, nobody can see him in the playoff buzzer beaters. Nobody. Nobody. Now, see, Chris added all those. But see, Skip Bayless tells me the playoffs is a greater sense. It's a heightened sense. So we got more playoff buzzer beaters than anybody that's ever played in the playoffs. Anyone. I did it again last night, Skip. Now, I don't know how they're going to count this, Chris. I don't know if this is a playoff game, it's a regular season game.
It's none. It's neither.
What?
It doesn't count.
So we should have just. So why are we doing it then? If it don't count, so why are we doing this, Chris? That's some bullshit.
I think they're going to make it playoffs eventually.
Yeah. No. They need to do it now. But anyway, Skip Bayless, a 10, because the man couldn't see. Chris said he couldn't see out of one eye. So he made a 34-footer with one eye. Try that.
You two have just outdone yourselves as apologists and idolaters, as blind witnesses for the quote-unquote king. I'm in awe of your defense of LeBron James. First to my friend Chris Broussard. Since LeBron entered this league, he has by far the most missed field goal shots and free throws in the last 10 seconds of games than anybody. It's 97. Next on the list was Dwayne Wade at 77. He's still up high on the list, even though he's been gone for, 3 years now.
Yeah.
And since LeBron has entered the league, we haven't talked about just pure free throw shooting. He has missed by far the most free throws in the last 5 seconds of late and close games. He's missed 16 to J.R. Smith's 8. So don't give me clutch. Don't give me more clutch than Jordan, because LeBron has now played 320 more games than Jordan, who still has 2 more walk-offs than LeBron. So don't even start there. Now, let's get back to last night. This was a big shot, but it wasn't remotely a clutch shot because there was a minute left in the basketball game. And to your point, thank you for bringing that up, it was a tie score, and it was at the end of the shot clock. And thank you, Chris, for bringing that up, because LeBron is at his worst when he has to make a decision late in a game, especially in the last 10 seconds of a game. What do? Do I drive it? I'm the greatest driver of the basketball ever. But am I going to get fouled? Because I'm the worst superstar late-game free throw shooter we have ever seen. He has run from the free throw line many, many times by just pulling up and taking some impossible degree of difficulty three-point shot that if he makes it, it looks great. If he doesn't, nobody's going to dock him for it because it was impossible. Well, he's just done it so many times. And the other way he gets out of this on the decision is maybe he drives it and at the last second he thinks, uh-oh, I'm about to get fouled. I'll kick it to Kyle Korver in the corner of Game 3 in 2017 Finals when Kyle Korver had never had a shot like that to win a big playoff game in a big moment like that. So last night, it was the perfect storm because he had no decision to make at the end of the clock. He got to just catch and go up and shoot it, and he knew he was logo distance. And he also knew, because he's got the highest IQ in basketball, that Wiggins had switched off him, so he no longer had a 6'8" guy flying at him. He had the tiniest guy on the floor flying at him. Little Steph was flying at him, and he still fell back. He shot a fall-away three from 34 feet, and he said, I'm seeing 3 rims, and it's the all-time look what I found 3. There was no pressure on it. There was no expectation on it. There was no repercussion, no blame, no fault attached to it, because if he missed it, who would care? Even I couldn't say anything about that because it would be an impossible shot to make.
Chris, you see, but I hear most professional athletes, and I hear Tom Brady says, when that moment you're not thinking, you're just reacting. Everybody says, I need to learn the offense so I don't have to think about what I need to do. I can just react. Everybody, even in basketball, they says, I don't want to think. I want to react. Now you want LeBron to think about what he needs to do as opposed to reacting. Chris, one more thing before I turn it over to you. Can you tell me the difference? It was a tie ball game, if I'm not mistaken, 89-89 in Game 7 with 59 seconds left in the ball game when Kyrie made that shot. Can you tell Skip the difference? Other than the Game 7, because there was still 50
What was the context of that game? What had been happening over the last 5 minutes of that game? Nobody could make a shot.
Hold on. It wasn't like Skip, you do realize the final score of this game.
LeBron had made the last shot.
LeBron had made the last 7 points. He had went on a little mini run by himself to tie the game up, Chris, but I wasn't going to bring that up. But my thing is that it was a tie ball game. If Kyrie misses that shot, what's the problem, Skip? We still got 50 seconds left in the ball game. So all I'm saying is Steph Curry was on the other side. Kyrie made a big-time shot, one of the biggest shots that you'll see in NBA history. LeBron James last night.
Did Kyrie go create his own shot? Yep, he did. Was it at the end of the clock? No, it wasn't. It was not.
It was.
LeBron had no other choice but to just catch it, heave it, and hope.
And make it.
Okay, it went in.
But
God bless him.
if you look at it, Skip, you see it wasn't a heave. It wasn't off the glass. It didn't bounce around like Kawhi shot against Philadelphia.
Luckiest shot in the history of the playoffs.
You saw the follow-through.
Follow-through, held it.
The follow-through, too. And I think what Shannon's trying to say is you can't hold LeBron to this one standard, but everybody else to another one. And you mentioned he passed out to Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver is one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. I mean, percentage-wise.
Not in that moment.
How is that any different? Well, how's that different? What shots had John Paxson hit in those moments before Jordan passed?
None.
Before
I know those, Steve. He was clutch. So was Steve Kerr. Hit a lot of big shots.
Steve Kerr?
Yep.
Did Kerr before that one? I don't know if Kerr hit any before that one in Chicago. So Jordan did it as well. And, I mean, George Hill, LeBron passed him. It's a layup, for goodness sakes. I can't get mad at LeBron for expecting an NBA player to make a layup against Golden State when he passed it to him late in that game. So LeBron makes the right decision. And people look at it to say, oh, he didn't want it. But the evidence I just gave you, Shannon just gave you, the evidence is that he does deliver in those moments. You're right. He's missed a lot of free throws. LeBron's not a good free throw shooter.
No.
That's just a fact.
Right.
It is what it is. He's missed a lot in the first 40 minutes, too. Not just the last minute of the game. That's one of his, that's a weakness of his. Everybody knows that. But he has been able to deliver buzzer beaters, game winners, as well as anybody in the history of the game.
Chris, he even thanked the man upstairs last night. I didn't even know LeBron was a religious man. But I think he got converted because he saw that shot go in.
Couldn't see. Man above. Always got to thank him. You can't go wrong with that. Chris, don't go anywhere.
No mercy.
As long as I got that 6'9" guy from Akron, I fear nothing.
Throws it back to LeBron.
I fear nothing. I go anywhere.
1 second left.
Anytime.
Has to shoot a three.
I go to the Serengeti and walk through a lion's den.
He made it! LeBron made a three to beat the shot clock.
Give me 6'9", 262 from Akron, Ohio.
Lakers lead 103-100.
I'm there.
Oh, I like that, Shannon. I see you grinning. LeBron came through when it mattered most last night against the Warriors. He finished with a 22-point, 11-rebound, 10-assist triple-double in the 103-100 win. He also hit the game-winning three-pointer with a minute to go. The Lakers will now face the Suns in the first round as their quest to repeat continues. Chris Broussard still with us. So, Chris, from what you saw last night, can the Lakers repeat as champs?
Jen, if I take your question literally, can they?
Can they?
I think the Lakers are one of 5 teams that I wouldn't be just absolutely shocked if won the championship. The Lakers, the Clippers in the West, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn in the East. Now, I've got my favorites. I'm picking Brooklyn and the Lakers in the finals, but I wouldn't be just floored if any of those teams won it. So yeah. Will? I don't think so. The Lakers, after what I saw last night, and I picked Brooklyn before that, I think the Lakers are more vulnerable than I even expected. I feel much better about my pick of Brooklyn now than I did even before yesterday's game. And Shannon, the Serengeti is in Brooklyn, New York, and the Lions are Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and a little cub named Blake Griffin. But the Lakers, obviously, we saw it. I mean, we all saw it last night. LeBron is not, at this moment, even close to 100% physically. I mean, you can see it. He had trouble finishing around the rim, even as he backed guys down. He missed some of those shots. That's not normal LeBron James. So he's still working his way back. If he's going to get close to 100% this season, he's having to work his way through these games on skills and smarts. And he's obviously got plenty of those, but that's different than him having that high-flying game to go along with the skills and the smarts and the jump shot that he can hit in a streaky fashion. So that's number one. Number two, the Lakers, and I've said this all year, guys, to me, the advantage they have over everyone, including Brooklyn. The Clippers would maybe be able to match up with them size-wise, but the Lakers can go big. Andre Drummond, 7 feet. Anthony Davis, about 7 feet. LeBron James, 6'9". And last night, even when they went big, they played small. The first half, I spent the whole first half yelling at my television set saying, play big. You're shooting too many threes. Go inside. And Anthony Davis was floating around the three-point line, shooting, at the perimeter. And I'm like, what is going on? And he couldn't post up Draymond Green, who is a great defender, but 4, 5, 6 inches shorter than AD, maybe 5 inches shorter. So they could play big, I think, and have an advantage against finesse teams, but they don't. They don't play big, and what they did was they went to AD at the 5, which was smart. We know how good that lineup was last year. And yesterday in the second half, they play AD at the 5. He wakes up, plays much better, and they're able to win the game. But the challenge will be if that's probably their best lineup. And so Andre Drummond's probably not going to play as much as we expected at times. And if they try to go against Brooklyn with AD at the 5, like last night they played small. They went small to match up against Golden State. And they fortunately won. They won't be able to do that against Brooklyn because Brooklyn's got 3 guys that can do what Steph did last night. And so that, I think, is a problem. I would say to the Lakers, newsflash, you can still shoot threes with post-ups. You could post AD or Drummond or LeBron, and if they double or triple, kick it out for a three.
Right.
Because everything they do is geared towards shooting a three, as if they shoot it like the Clippers or the Nets or Golden State.
Utah.
And so I just think at times they don't play their strengths. So I think Brooklyn will get them if the Lakers survive the West and Brooklyn survives the East.
But I think moving forward, Chris, most of the teams that they're going to see in the Western Conference play a more conventional lineup. You see Rudy Gobert is going to be in the ballgame. Yoke is going to be in the ballgame. DeAndre Ayton is going to be in the ballgame. And even if you go to the Eastern Conference, most of those guys have a big. Skip, they had last night, you see Drummond, he's trying to guard Toscano Anderson. I'm like, what the hell you got? Vogues. You can't have that. They got Draymond as their biggest player on the court, and they got Drummond in the ball game. AD is guarding Draymond, and Drummond is trying to guard a little three on the perimeter. I'm like, what is this? But the difference in the ball game is when they got Dennis Schroeder butt out of there. Dennis Schroeder is trying to play for a contract. He's picked the wrong time to try to show everybody, oh, I'm still legit. I deserve a max contract. And you saw what happened, Chris? He tried to go 1-on-5. Frankie V called timeout, got his butt out the ball game, got Caruso back in the ball game. You might be talking about playoff Caruso because you see what he done. The Caruso.
I think he's your new.
The Caruso.
He's your closer.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, he is.
You see what he's talking about, Chris?
He closed last night.
They put him in the ball game, and it was. I do believe this is a more favorable matchup. The Suns, because of the conventionality of what they do. They're not a team that's just going to float around and try to shoot a bunch of threes. They don't do a whole lot of dribble handoff like Draymond does with those guards that jacket up threes. I like what I saw. But when it all needs to meet the role, what can they do? What are we number one in the NBA at, Skip? Defense! And when we needed to lock it down, what we do? Locked it down. So if the rubber needs to meet the road against the Suns, against the Clippers, against Utah, against Denver, or if we go over there and see that three-headed monster at the Brooklyn, got something for them too.
Think about what I just said to you. A goofy-looking white guy is now your closer, right?
You be hating.
Huh? I'm serious. That's kind of scary.
Play our Caruso.
You couldn't even cover the point spread last night against a team that doesn't have Kelly Oubre or James Wiseman or Damian Lee. Obviously, there's no Clay and KD anymore. You couldn't cover. I was highly unimpressed with the whole night. Yeah. And what have I told you? Your guy, the big penguin, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Drummond, Andre the Giant, he does not fit. What happened in the first half? He clogged the lane and he stopped the basketball. It's what you don't want. They were much freer and more open. You got AD camped more down where you need him to camp when you got the big penguin out of the way.
Skip, but that great game that AD had against Phoenix, the 42, 12, 5, 3, and 3, the big penguin was on the court.
He was there occasionally, but he was not much of a factor. He dominated Ayton. Ayton took 6 shots in that game, right?
What we do.
Scored 6 points.
And who had him? The Penguin had him.
I don't think the Penguin had him. I think AD had him more than the Penguin.
Locked him up.
So, look, Chris, real quick, I need to get your pick of this next series. Do you give Phoenix, 2 games?
I don't see any way Phoenix can beat the Lakers. I'll give them 2. Yeah, 6 games.
I'm going to give them 1.
I'd be shocked if it went past 6 games.
Okay, they got a break here because this is a great matchup for them. Steph wasn't a great matchup if he could get loose and make 6 threes, and he did, and he kept it close. And he was also getting loose on Schroeder, your new target on your team.
Ain't no new target, you know.
And he was getting loose on him and just making all kinds of little whipped cream swirling dervish shots at the rim. So the point is, this is a great matchup because LeBron has played 260 playoff games. That's almost 40 more than the entire Phoenix roster. They had a great year. They overachieved. CP3 is a great leader for a young team, but his problem is he's a classic overachiever. He can do it with tenacity and savvy, but he can't do it with height because he's about 6 feet tall to LeBron's 6'9". So what is CP3 in the postseason? He's 53 and 58. That's 5 games under 500. LeBron, to his credit, is 172 and 88. That's 84 games over 500. This is a mismatch. And we saw the mismatch when Phoenix came just, 10 days ago, it seems like, to Staples, and they were fighting for the top seed in the West. And what did they do?
We beat the brakes off them.
They stunk it up. You guys beat them with no LeBron and no Schroeder. To your point, Schroeder should have stayed out, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
But let me ask you a question, Chris. Do you believe, because last night in the first half, AD, Schroeder, and LeBron was 428. Do you believe they'll play that bad again in any half the remainder of the playoffs, no matter how far they go? I do not. I do not believe they'll go 4 for 28 in a half.
No, I mean, for LeBron to shoot that poorly is just highly unusual. Even him going, 7 for 17, I think he was total. That's unusual for LeBron. So I think the more he plays, he's going to shoot around that 50% range. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm going to amend my pick, Skip. I'll say I think they will take him out in 5. Phoenix, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker in their first playoff game, first series. They're going to be shell-shocked. So I got the Lakers in 5.
But I do think...
I thought also, and I'm glad you brought up Schroeder. Shannon, because I like the Lakers. If you notice the second half, LeBron was bringing the ball up. LeBron was playing point for the most part. And we've seen this year he's been off the ball more. And I've liked some of that, him at the elbow or on the wing. But when he's at the point, he can control the tempo of the game. And I think that's big for them. They might not need it as much against Phoenix, but going forward, I like LeBron handling the ball as the point guard and AD at the center. I think that gives the Lakers their best chance to repeat.
I agree. But I do think that going forward, LeBron needs to start drinking the new drink he's advertising now, Mountain Dew Rise, because he needs to rise. He didn't have any lift last night.
So in other words, the ankle is injured.
The ankle is still an excuse, right?
There you go.
I mean, he's fighting through it. He's fighting through something. Chris, thank you very much for joining us.
No mercy.
Saturday, MLB is back on Fox, headlined by an interleague showdown between the Red Sox and Phillies, or it's two of the greatest rivalries in baseball, as the Dodgers take on the Giants and the Cubs face the Cardinals Saturday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. So check local listings to find the game in your area. LeBron's game-winning three-pointer last night was the longest make of the season for the King. The shot was also the longest of several go-ahead shots in the final 3 minutes of LeBron's career, and had social media debating about how clutch the King has been overall. So, Shannon, scale of 1 to 10, how clutch has LeBron been in his career?
Well, he's as clutch as any player has ever been in their career. And Chris just read the stat of since he's been 97 game-tying or go-ahead shots in the final minutes. And only Kobe has more. And you look at LeBron, 5 playoff buzzer beaters. And Skip like to say, walk off. Ain't no more, I got to get a stop. I stole the inbound play. He has 5 of those. Nobody else has that many. The 34-footer, as Jenny mentioned in the read, the second longest next to Dame shot against Paul George. Skip, I mean, people forget, he hit the shot over Kawhi in Game 7 to put him ahead for good, right? That's clutch. The greatest block in NBA history. No. Skip, don't do it. Skip. Now, you told me playoffs get a little added boost than the regular season. Now, shouldn't Game 7 get the ultimate boost, considering what had happened? You said nobody can make a shot. Maybe if Andre Iguodala makes that, maybe the floodgates open.
Maybe if JR hadn't cut him off at the pass, right, and made him shoot a layup instead of dunking it so that LeBron could catch up and block it as a chase down.
And see, what people do is they talk out both sides of their mouth. They criticize LeBron for making the right play, but they criticize Russ for not making the right play. So he's like, well, what should I do? If I pass it, I shouldn't have passed it. Russ doesn't pass it. Russ, why you forcing him that bad shot? Pass it to a guy that has a better shot. LeBron passes to a guy that has a better shot. LeBron, you got to take that shot. I mean, you the GOAT. You the king, right? You say you the king. So the king got to take the shot. No. LeBron said, I'm going to make the right play. In the right play, there's never a wrong time to do the right thing. He is all-time clutch. I mean, you want to say, hey, look, Jordan is Jordan. Kobe is Kobe. But there are a lot of guys that you say, well, I want him taking the last shot. But since they've been in the league, the same amount of time LeBron has been in the league, they don't have as many walk-offs. They don't have as many buzzer beaters. They don't have many game-ending or game-tying shots. That's all I'm saying. So I ain't taking nobody over him. I ain't taking nobody over him.
Okay, scale of 1 to 10, I will give LeBron a 5 for clutchness. I will give Jordan a 10 for clutchness because Jordan still has the most walk-offs, 9, to LeBron's 7, but LeBron has now played 320 more games than Jordan played. And now let's go back to his buzzer beaters that you always talk about. The first one, I watch every LeBron game live. I was watching on January 23rd, 2009, a Friday night, and LeBron finally hit a walk-off against Golden State and over Turioff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that was his 478th NBA game. It took him 478 games to finally hit a walk-off because he wasn't that clutch. He wasn't born with the clutch gene.
So hold on, that's 5 years. So in other words, it took him till he got 23, when most guys are just getting out of college at 23. But okay, go carry on.
We go 09 later that year. You got the shot heard around the world. It was against Orlando. And it's the classic. If Chris Broussard brought it up here a few minutes ago.
Right.
It's a catch and shoot. No, you just can't think about it because Mo Williams just passes it inbounds. There's, 1 second left?
Right.
And I don't know what Turkoglu was thinking, but he plays him to drive. There's a second left on the clock. You got to get up on him. Turkoglu's 6 feet 8 inches tall, and LeBron just goes up and shoots it and makes it and saved the day for the moment.
Right.
And then they fell apart thereafter and lost in 6 to Dwight Howard's Orlando Magic.
LeBron just averaged 38, 8, and 8.
Okay?
But okay.
And then Paul George plays him to shoot it, and LeBron just dribbles right around him and goes up and shoots a left-handed layup off the glass. A layup off the glass at the buzzer to beat Indiana in the playoff game. Give you that one. Then there was the mad shot at Chicago. It wasn't a 3. It was actually a 2-point shot because David Blatt had called the play in the huddle for Kyrie to take the last shot, and LeBron, to his credit, was steamed about it and said, not on my watch. Give me the damn basketball. Right. And he undid David Blatt's play, and basically that call cost David Blatt his job. It did. It was the end of David Blatt, and to LeBron's credit, he got mad. He quit thinking. He just went straight up and shot a deep 2 and made it to win the game. Way to go. Then we got the greatest regular season shot, really, the greatest buzzer beater. This is the one I always give you. Over Jimmy Butler, it was a regular season game, I believe, at Minnesota. It was versus Minnesota.
Oh, that 35 and 17?
It was a big-time shot. I give you that one. It was a great shot. And then we've got, after the goaltend against Indiana in the playoffs, there's a blatant goaltend by LeBron. And the Pacers are all down there screaming to the referee, and he takes the ball and dribbles it fast to the other end, just goes up and shoots it and wins the game with nobody guarding him. Okay, I'll give you that one. And then the Toronto play. Remember, Ty Lue has the brilliance not to call timeout, just to take it in bounds and just go with it. Anunoby, he was just a rookie, was guarding him, and he dribbles the length of the floor, and he runs out of backboard. He has no angle left on the backboard and still banks it.
Yes.
I think he didn't call bank on it. I think he lucked it in, but I will give you that. Okay, so now let's even bring it forward to this year. How clutch has he been just this year? What did we see in that Golden State game? January 18th at home against Golden State. See the last second shot, can we? He just missed it. This is a shot that, if you're that guy against this team, that's a much better look than he had last night, and he bricked it. Okay?
That ain't no much better look. Skip, don't do that.
Yeah, that's a much better look. It's not as deep. It's not 34 feet away. And then remember what he did against Washington at home when they were really struggling? He's got, here's the shot one more time. Then against Washington, he's got a free throw to win the game at the end of regulation. Do you remember this? And he missed it. You can't miss that. And he fell away. He shot a fall-away free throw and left it short. And then in overtime, he's got another shot to win the game in overtime. There's the missed free throw. And this is this year. This is the guy you say is all-time clutch. And that was sort of like last night, and he missed way wide right. And then, remember, he comes back for the Sacramento game after he's out for, what was it, 20-odd games, 21 games. And this was on a Friday night at home, and he missed that shot at the end of the game. Am I right?
You believe, let me ask you a question.
I'm just showing you this year. Here's the shot. That's to win the game, and he LeBricks it long.
This year, you believe KD is more clutch than LeBron. KD has had 3 times in which he had a chance to win the game, and he's missed all 3 times. And a couple of those games, he had 2 cracks at it.
Okay.
Is KD clutch, yes or no?
Well, he's much more clutch career than LeBron is.
That's not what the numbers say.
Well, I'll take him any day.
No. Okay.
He's not been very good this year.
Personal preference.
Yep.
Take personal preference out of it. What does the numbers say?
Okay. All right. We're not talking about KD. We're talking about LeBron James.
What you saying?
Okay. Let's go to 2018, Game 1 at Oracle. LeBron's having his career playoff night. He scored 49 points. He's been hotter from distance outside the paint than I've ever seen him in a game. And with 6 seconds left, he gets a switch. He gets little Steph on him. And all he has to do is pull up from
Look at Draymond. Look at Draymond. Look at Draymond and KD right there.
Just pull up and shoot it. If you're that guy, if you're the GOAT like you claim.
When have you ever known LeBron?
Just pull up. Shoot it over. The guy guarding you is 6'2". Just pull up and shoot it. You're on fire.
Skip, okay. Jordan's first game, when Jordan came back, I think it was his 3rd or 4th game. They're playing in the Garden.
Okay.
He drops 55. But the final shot, he passed it to someone. Why would he pass it when he's
Bill Whittington was wide open for a dunk.
George Hill was wide open for a layup.
He's going to get fouled.
Wide open for a layup.
Clay just reached out and fouled him. Because George Hill has never shot clutch free throws. I never liked him when he was a Spur. I was happy they traded him for Kawhi Leonard.
Take like out of it. Here's the guy that's an 80% free throw shooter.
Okay.
80%. He's wide open for a layup.
Can't do it. Don't want it. You don't want it. You turned it down.
You see what you did? Now, Will Purdue or whoever dunked the ball, he was wide open.
Bill Whittington.
But Jordan, Skip, he had 55.
Okay.
He was as hot as he'd ever been.
Okay, let's go to Game 2 last year against Denver. This was all-time classic. Last-second shot, and supposedly the play had been called for LeBron James. And what did he do? Rondo said, I locked eyes with him. He didn't move.
Decoy.
Move, LeBron. It's for you. It's for you. And AD had to go grab it and shoot it and make it.
Decoy.
Save the playoffs.
Decoy.
That's Game 2. You're going to go down 0-2 in that game.
No, we're not. We already won.
Did you win Game 1? Okay, it's been 1-1. But the point is, LeBron, I locked eyes with him. He didn't move. LeBron wanted no part of shooting a last-second shot because he'd been abysmal in the 4th quarter from distance or outside the paint.
Skip, the numbers disagree with you. Now, you can pick 5 or 6 instances, but the body of work, the resume says that he's as clutch as any player that's ever played in the NBA. That's what the numbers say.
It's interesting to me that since LeBron James entered the league, in the last 10 seconds of games that are late and close, he has missed the most field goals and the most free throws of anybody, and it's by far. He's got 97 misses of that ilk. And 77 is Dwayne Wade is the next on the list.
Of the guys that came in when LeBron was in the league, how many other than Carmelo is still playing?
Well, but he's surpassed all of them in time spent playing, right?
Yeah.
So over that whole time, nobody has missed more free throws. If you go to 5 seconds left in games, nobody has missed more free throws since LeBron entered the league than LeBron. With the game on the line, last 5 seconds.
Since he entered the league, who's made more game-winning shots than LeBron?
Game-winning shots.
Game-winning, game-tying. Since LeBron has entered the league, who's had more? Since you want to take the misses since he's been in the league, how about give some credit for the mates? Who's made more?
How many of those has he turned down, has he run from because he does not like the late-game free throw lines? How many times did you just pull up and miss a deep three?
Skip,
I just showed you 3 from this year.
Okay, you criticize LeBron for making the right play. You criticize Russ when he could pass the ball and take a bad shot. So which is it? The same thing they did with Kobe. Kobe passed the ball, and then after overtime, now once Kobe retired, Kobe was a killer. How many times did they beat Kobe down because he took a bad shot when he could have passed it? Now we flip it around. Oh, Kobe was a stone-cold assassin. But that's not what you said at the time he was doing it, taking those bad shots. Now LeBron, he does the right. He always tries to make the right play. It doesn't always turn out right. He passes it to the guy might miss it. He take the shot, he might miss it.
I'll close my case with Game 5 of the finals last year. last-second shot. You can end the finals on this play, and he drives it, LeBron does, down the right side of the lane.
Yeah.
And at the last second, he says, no, I don't want to have to go shoot these free throws.
Against three guys.
If he goes up to 6'9", 270, just drive it in, you're going to get fouled. He would have gotten fouled.
Look at this.
Take it right to the rack, and Danny Green missed the shot.
Wide open.
No mercy.
Well, LeBron and the Lakers were able to fend off Steph Curry and the Warriors in a play-in-game thriller last night. All knotted up at 100. With a minute left, LeBron threw up a deep three-pointer to avoid a shot clock violation. LeBron finished with a triple-double as the Lakers went on to win it 103-100 and advance as the 7 seed, and it was a fun one to watch. Shannon, how impressive or unimpressive were the Lakers last night?
Skip, overall, they were unimpressive, but they were impressive when they mattered the most, when they really needed to be impressive. They were. Skip, the first half was the worst half of any half that the Lakers have played all year. They missed 31 shots in the first half. And I mentioned it earlier. Schroeder, LeBron, and AD combined for 4 of 28 in the first half. That game, probably if you play anybody else other than Golden State, where they have more than one player, you're probably, instead of down 13, you're probably going to be down 25, 30.
I buy that. I agree.
But you look at it, they were the #1 defensive rated team in all of basketball. And they knew the third quarter was going to be the telltale. Because, Skip, the telltale for the Lakers this year, third quarter's been brutal for them. They've lost a lot of games that they probably should have won because they come out lackadaisical.
Yep.
They have a lead and then they start willy-nilly, they start freestyling. And the next thing you know, a game that they should have blown open, they're losing. But they focused in, they clamped down on the defensive end, forced a bunch of turnovers, forced 15 turnovers in the second half. And so when they really needed to be good, they were great. And so if I had to say, how impressive, I wasn't that impressed because I thought the game would be close early. And I said, Skip, I think they're going to struggle early, but they'll pull away late. I didn't think they were going to be this late before they really didn't pull away. So they were unimpressive as a whole, but they were impressive when they needed to be and got a win. This might be their toughest game on their way to the championship because, Skip, there was a lot at stake. There was a lot of pressure on the Lakers because now all of a sudden you lose this game, you go to a one-game scenario.
Yep.
And in a one-game scenario, anything can happen. That's why we love football because not always the best team win. You get a situation, Valanciunas owns the board, Ja Morant maybe goes crazy, Dylan Brooks, they got guys that can make shots. And then all of a sudden we're looking around like, hold on, the defending champs didn't even make the playoffs this year? So that would have been bad. So for me, to come to AD and LeBron to combine for 47 after they played miserable first halves and to turn it up defensively, I was impressed when I needed to be impressed. But overall, I was unimpressed with what they did.
So you went to bed late last night here in the Pacific time zone because you had to get up pretty early, and you were scared. Is that fair to say?
I slept really good. I said, you know what? I won a couple of bets. Some people bet me some things that they probably shouldn't have bet me.
Okay.
I felt really good. Michael Rappaport wouldn't take my calls. That made me feel even better. And to know that I was going to come out here as the GOAT, I slept real good.
Did you?
Yep.
Yet you were unimpressed overall.
I was unimpressed, man.
So
that was bad basketball.
You're just taking your one moment in the sun on today's show because you're not sure about these Suns coming up?
I feel better about the Suns than I felt about the Warriors because I know what Steph Curry. Look, and I know what Book is, but Book is not going to be making them crazy shots like Steph Curry can make.
Nope. I agree. So overall, I was slightly unimpressed. I agree with all your takes about when it was time, it was time.
Right.
And yet, I'm going to say this again, I'm sure the team in the basement last night, they get a TV in the basement, I think. But there's still like a black and white. Maybe.
Oh, the team that lost to the Knicks?
Yeah, the team that was stuck in the basement. They were watching on their black and white TV, and they were grinning, and they were chuckling, and they were licking their chops.
Kind of like last year, huh?
Yeah, because they want a piece of you in the finals.
See, Skip, why y'all always worried about us? Let us handle our business.
Because you are worried about us.
No, let us handle our business. You handle your business, and then we'll have a meeting where we get together and handle some business.
We're going to have a meeting.
Okay.
Okay, on the plus side of the ledger, the two players who impressed me the most last night were Alex Caruso and Wesley Matthews, because they come off that bench like houses afire.
Yeah.
They do. They come in like wrecking balls on defense. Caruso is all over the floor, disrupting, distracting, destroying.
Yeah, I know he got on pass, Skip. He got because he hit the floor. And Wesley Matthews is a tough guy. He's a mentally, physically tough guy who knows how to defend at the highest level. And when push came to shove last night, and it was getting pushy and shovey, Wesley Matthews was right in the middle of some big defensive stops that really helped you. You got a big stop on Draymond,
He did. So he played almost 15 crucial minutes for you, and whose minutes he took were THT's because he's not quite ready for primetime. He did make one big shot last night, THT did. But those two guys saved the day because they're the two-pronged effect on your defense that can come in and shake people up, because they're so physical and so pit bullish, both of them.
Right. But when you look at it, Skip, hold on, I'm trying to see. Wesley Matthews really didn't play the first half. No. His 15 minutes came in the second half.
Okay, what did that tell you?
Yeah.
I'm saying he and Caruso saved the night.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
I don't know what Shooter was doing. I really don't. Kyle Kuzma came in and gave us some valuable minutes. Look, I'm just resigned to the fact Kuz is hit or miss. You never know what you're going to get, Skip. Okay. He might give you 25. He might give you 2.
Okay. You should also be resigned to the fact that you have dissension in the ranks because Schroeder just wants a contract. He doesn't care about winning or losing. He wants money.
Yeah.
So he's going to try to star over win.
But that's all right. He can start. He's going to start in the first half. But see, what we're going to happen is that they're going to be able to look at that film and be like, well, hold on, bro. You keep on saying you this money player. Why you not in the game closing? They got somebody else in your spot.
Big Penguin needs to lose his spot.
No.
Hey, you were wrong about it.
Drum ain't going anywhere.
You were wrong.
Because guess what? We got Ayton. You're going to have to see Ayton. You might have to see Gobert. You might have to see Yoke. You might have to see Nurkic. We need a big body to bang. And Big Drum bang with him.
Well, you're going to need one against the Clippers.
No mercy. Well, with just over 2 minutes to go, LeBron was fouled by Draymond Green last night and took a finger to the eye. The play was reviewed for contact to the head as a flagrant foul, but was not called. LeBron would go on to make one of the 2 free throws, as the Lakers would end up winning this one, as we've been talking about. So, Shannon, should the Draymond foul have been a flagrant?
Yeah, because there's no play on the ball. The only play on the ball was LeBron's eyeball. Skip, I mean, this is ridiculous now. We've seen less, and I get it, Skip. Well, the official don't want to, put his thumbprint on the game this late in the ball game. If that play happens in the first quarter, they're going to call a flagrant foul. A blow to the head, even if you're making a play on the ball, Skip, and you hit the guy side the head or you hit him in the neck, they call a flagrant. How is this Draymond goes both hands, and I'm not saying he was trying to injure him, but he was trying to prevent him from dunking that ball because he knew what was going to happen. It was probably going to be an and one. That's a flagrant foul. It's 2 shots, and the Lakers are supposed to get the ball back. Listen, LeBron's fall, damn the fall. The fall had nothing to do with Draymond hitting the man in his face with no play on the ball. I still don't understand how that was not a flagrant. And, people are like, well, I don't know who the guy, he used to be an official, that said that's not a flagrant foul. Well, I vehemently disagree. That's a flagrant foul. If I've seen the flagrant foul this year, Steve Jabb, If that's not a flagrant foul, there should be no flagrant fouls called the remainder of the playoffs.
For the first time in the show, I agree with you because it's 2 hands to the face, or to the head.
Right.
I thought that was the very definition.
Textbook. That's textbook.
Right?
Yes.
And in fact, it was so hard to the face that it flipped LeBron, obviously, and he took a pretty mean fall.
Right.
That you could also start thinking it was another level of flagrant, right? Like it was the second level of flagrant.
Flagrant 2 and
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, really? Right. So I was shocked by this. And what further shocks me is your man Luka. He complains to the referees after every missed shot, but Draymond berates the referees after missed shot. Like Luka just kind of whines and just, it's not that challenging to the referee, but this guy is completely out of control. He's going after them after every call that he thinks he deserved. Right. So after a while, wouldn't that alienate?
You would think.
You would think to where you couldn't get away with this. I mean, for a second, I thought he's going to be ejected for that.
I need to look at the rule book. I'm going to need somebody to explain to me what a flagrant is. Because if it's a blow to the head or the neck area, what was that when someone hits a guy 2 hands to the face? You don't get to determine, well, there's only 50 seconds in the ball game, and I don't want you to skip. I don't want to determine the ball game. That's not how you decide a foul. A foul is a foul, no matter what time it calls, how close the ball game is, or how blowout. It doesn't matter. 2 hands to the face is a flagrant. That should be the textbook definition of a flagrant foul.
But it did help LeBron make the last shot because he couldn't see.
We pulled that Forrest Whitaker over.
Calling out his acting skills. I thought that was a bit harsh. A bit harsh. No mercy. Well, guys, Russell Westbrook and the Wizards came up short Tuesday night against the Celtics and will now face the Pacers tonight. Westbrook will have a chance to redeem himself after scoring only 12 points in the second half of that loss on 3 of 9 shooting from the floor. So, Shannon, what do you expect from Westbrook tonight?
Well, Skip, normally when these teams get together, they're very high-scoring games. Russ is averaging the 3 games, 27 points, 18 rebounds, 20 assists. That's what he's averaged against Indiana. And I think one time they had a 151 to 144 ball game. The one thing we know about Russ going out to blaze of glory. He ain't going out, Skip, he ain't going out shooting efficient. He ain't about to be no 5 or 10. Russ gonna go out. If he going out in style. Well, 7 or 22.
He blazed out in the second half at Boston, didn't he? Right?
And I just don't know how healthy Bradley Beal hamstring is.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to say Sabonis has a monster game, something like 25, 20, and 8. I'm going to take Indiana in upset.
I have already written that down. I'm with you. We both picked Russ to win the other night. I'm picking Indiana at Washington, but this is a legacy game for Russell Westbrook because I don't know what happened in the second half at Boston, but he could wipe that slate clean with a triple-double win at home over Indiana. I just think Indiana's found it all of a sudden.
Indiana's tougher than people think. Sabonis is a monster down low, so I'm going with them in the upset.
And Brogdon is just a basketball player.
But I'm expecting Russ going to come out guns firing tonight, Skip. I'm sorry.
Well, they may be air balls.
They might be.
Okay, well, I believe in Russ. Great stuff today, guys. You know, Shannon, I really appreciated you bringing out the king. I know it's been a while, so
He'll be back
I know Skip didn't feel the same way, but it was fun for many of us. We're back same time tomorrow morning. Plenty more to talk about. The Herd is on right now. Have a great day.